Hello, everyone. Mr. Hine. And now we're at the end of chapter 2, believe it or not, and what this final lesson talks about, this final skill that we can add to your skill set is we just did the chick palm, which is finding the equation given a point and a slope. So let's write that down. So what we just did, make sure you can see in the light, is we found the equation given just a rate of change, and a point. Right. Focus that in better. And that was the chick problem, is if you knew it weighed 5.2 grams a day, and on the 9th day it weighed an amount, how did we get the equation? I showed you different ways of doing that. Now what we're going to do today is, what if we don't even have a rate of change? What if we just are given 2 points? How does that work? And you'll see that what we're going to do is we're kind of go from this, we're going to try to basically convert to what we know how to do, which is find the slope or the rate of change. And then from there, we just pick a point and it will be the same thing we just did in the last video. But in case you have no idea, let's start from fresh. So we have a table of values here, and what we want to do is the goal is to write the equation as y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope or rate of change, and the b is the start. The two things we need to find. Okay. Now, we can start by picking any 2 points. Pick any 2 points. And it doesn't matter which two because they're all on a line, right? And pick any 2 points to find the slope. So say I just pick the first two. Let's pick 4, 8 and 8, 13. Right? Now we're going to find the slope between those points by doing change in y over change in x. If I put these points in a table, we have 4, 8, 8, 13. Well, how did it get from 8 to 13? That's plus 5. So it's 5 over, and how does it get from 4 to 8? Well, that's plus 4. So our slope, our m, is 5 over 4. Good. So we have half the problem done. Now, how do we get the starting value? Well, this is what we did yesterday, is you pick, maybe like this as second step, is now you use the slope and 1 point to find the starting value. So here we go. Let's write the equation first, y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to use the 0.48. Smallest numbers, it's the easiest. So y is then 8. The m is 5 over 4. The x is 4. So again, I'm using the 0.4, 8, which is how 8 became the y, how the 4 became the x. The 5/4 is my slope. And then we have plus b. Okay. Now solving this, we still have 8 equals. Now, what's 5 over 4 times 4? Maybe we just use a calculator for this. Right. What is 5 divided by 4 times 4? Well, all of that just makes 5. And we have plus b. And then to get b by itself, you minus 5 to both sides to make that go to 0. And we get b equals 3. And with that, once you have the slope and the starting value, you're done. So the final equation here is y equals 5 over 4x plus 3. And there's the equation of that table of values. Huh? Not too bad. Or at least, hopefully it doesn't feel too bad. If it does, maybe another example will help you. But big idea is you pick 2 points, and any 2 points could have worked. Like note, any points work, any 2 points. So say I would have picked the farthest ones away. Say I would have picked 4, 8, and 36, 48. And say, well, is my slope still going to be 5 over 4? Well, let's check. So we put this in a table. And you have 4, 8, 36, 48. How does it get from 8 to 48? Well, it adds 40. So it's 40 over, how does it get from 4 to 36? It adds 32. So we get 40 over 32, and you're like, oh, well, that's not the same thing, Mr. Hine. 5 over 4 is not 40 over 32, but it is if we just simplify. If we divide each of these by 8, because 8 goes in each of these, 40 divided by 8 is 5, and 32 divided by 8 is 4. Notice we get the same thing. And that's like a number way of seeing it. If you picture a line on a graph, right, the slope from this point to this point, that slope is still the same if I go from this point up to this point. The line didn't get any steeper, right? It's still the same slope. It just, we're looking at points farther away, and that's it. Okay. Let's look at example 2. Give you one more problem and keep this video short. So now we have a table of values, and again, the goal is what's the equation? And y equals mx plus b here. Right? So what we need to do is we need to find the m, and we need to find the starting value. Right? So let's pick 2 points. I'll pick the 2 points in the middle. Why not? 39, negative 19, 42, negative 21. And if you know another way of doing this, say quicker, that's fine with me. As long as you can get the right answer and show your work, I'm okay with that. Right. So how are these changing? Let's look. Put this in a table. And let's see. Now this one's tricky. How do you get from negative 19 to negative 21? What's the change in y there? Minus 2. And how do you get from 39 to 42? Well, you add 3. So your slope here, the m, is negative 2 over 3. Because remember, it's always the change in y over change in x. Okay. So step 1 is done. Step 2, how do we get the starting value? Again, you use a slope and a point to find a starting value, like we did in the chick problem. So we're going to use m equals negative 2 over 3, and I'm going to pick a point. Let's just use the first one, 39, negative 19, and we're going to use algebra to solve this. Right? So we have our equation, y equals mx plus b. We're going to plug in everything we know. So the y is negative 19. The m is negative 2/3. The x is 39. And we have plus b. Hopefully you can see where all that comes from. And then we have negative 19 equals, well, what's negative 2/3? Negative 2/3 times 39, well, we get negative 26. And hopefully if you're using a calculator, you get the same thing. Plus b. And then how do you get rid of a negative 26? How do you make that go to 0? Well, opposite of that is to add 26. Do it to one side, you do it to the other. And what you end up getting here is that negative 19 plus 26 is 7 equals b. And that's the starting value here. So put all this together, and we have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 7. And there it is, the final skill of this chapter to learn. Practice it on your own, because that will be your best way of understanding this. Right, maybe you get it from this video. It's not the same as doing it on your own problem. Good luck. Ask me if you have any questions, or ask any friends for help. Not for cheating, of course. All right, bye-bye.